Well, hello my kings and queens, and welcome to another episode of Transformational Thoughts that help us to become the unlimited souls that we are meant to be. Now, as you can see, your girl is really into the Christmas spirit right now, and actually today I want to share with you why I am so crazy about this holiday and why my family and I kind of go a little bit extra around this season. Alright, but of course, nothing just kind of comes out of the blue. Everything normally has to do with our background and where we come from, and so for me that's literally where it all started. So I grew up in a working class or middle class black South African family where we were not really rich nor poor, just as it says, middle class. And of course, so it means that there were a lot of unpredictable, events. So everything was always dependent on a salary. There was not really much of a safety net or, investments or anything of that sort. And so I remember that my family, or rather my parents, one of the things that I always used to appreciate about them is that it didn't matter how the year would have been, but they always celebrated and kind of made Christmas a big deal. And for me now, as an adult looking back to that, I realized that most of my childhood, happy childhood memories are centered around the festive season. And sometimes when we have conversations around how like a certain year would have been, for me, most of the bad things that would have happened were normally overshadowed by the festive season itself. And so that's one of the reasons why I ended up just deciding that, I think there's something good about partaking in the festivities, because for some reason it tends to overshadow however the year has been. Because the truth is, most of us, we start off the year with a bang. We normally have resolutions and plans and goals and, things that we want to meet and achieve. And then towards the end of the year is normally the time when we reflect and actually decide whether the year has been good or bad or whatever, or indifferent. And then from there, normally that's when a lot of people will either take on an attitude, not necessarily a decision, but an attitude of either looking forward to the following year, or maybe a bit apprehensive about the following year because of how, when they look at the current year and how it's been. So for me, on the other hand, I have always, not always, in the last couple of years, I've actually taken on a different approach when it comes to, like towards the end of the year. I no longer see it as just, a time to reflect on how the year has been, but I actually see it as a time to a soul cleansing period as well, where it doesn't matter how the year has been, whether it was good or bad, but what I normally do is I pick out all the good things and all the learnings that I can take from that particular year that I can now use as a stepping stone to the following year. So it's a time for me of reflection and not necessarily deciding whether the year was good or bad. And some of the ways in which I actually do that is obviously just looking at some of the goals that I had planned, where I went wrong, where life went wrong, because some of the things that we planned don't necessarily have anything to do with us, but life itself just throws so many things at us, and then it just makes it difficult for us to reach our goals. So I look at all of those things and then I take learnings from that, and how I remain positive, especially if it was a particularly crappy year, is by just engaging in and almost taking advantage of the festive season, where everyone seems to be jolly and happy, and I deliberately engage in that so that I end off the year on a positive note. Now, this is not just for me, but I also believe that it's something that I've also been doing for my children, because as parents, we're not exactly the greatest of parents. We're not Mother Teresa's, but we do try our best. But sometimes during the course of the year, we can be focused on adulthood. We focused on paying bills, making the ends meet. We focused on meeting deadlines, on pushing for our dreams, reaching those goals, and good grades, and all of those things. And sometimes we forget to tap into the inner child or have meaningful and deliberate moments that we create ourselves, where we can connect with our children and create memories with them. So for me, it doesn't matter how the year has been for my children, whether I was able to provide for them everything that they want, because most of the times, I'm not always able to do that, but I do take advantage of the festive season, and I put a little creativity into it so that I deliberately create memories that not necessarily wipe out everything or the experiences that they've had during the year, but just so that they also end off on a very positive note, and they're looking forward to another year. Or at least they can always say, what, doesn't matter how crappy the year has been, but I know my parents are gonna always do their best when it comes to the festive season. There's always something to look forward to. And one of the reasons why I do that is over the years I've also realized that normally anything negative has a greater impact than positive experiences. And so if maybe it's been a year of continuously experiencing just bad things, then that tends to really get into our subconscious, and then it creates a mindset, and then that mindset is what we tend to attract most of the time. So then we enter into a cycle of negativity. And so one of the ways in which I deliberately try to break that is by being deliberate, as I mentioned, and partaking in the festivities and the whole holiday season itself, where everyone is just jolly, everyone is just positive. And that's the reason why I am a little bit extra about Christmas. Now, I know that some people don't celebrate because it's a pagan holiday, as others call it, or the fact that Jesus was not born on the 25th. But either way, for me, it's like, okay, that's still a day that has been given, and I will celebrate the birth of Jesus, even though I celebrate it every other day. But on this day, I will go a little bit extra, and I will do it with my family. So for us, normally it's a time when we truly come together. And for me, Google is my friend. So I will Google a lot of recipes, a lot of ideas and activities that I can do and engage with my children, so that we create meaningful memories around this time. So yes, I use Pinterest, YouTube, Google, honey, everything that you can think of. And one of the things that I'm hoping this will do for my children is for them at least to have 3 learnings out of this. Number one is that I pray that they do understand when they're adults and they're looking back and they see that, my parents didn't always have it good, but they did make an effort, and they were deliberate in their effort in making us happy and in connecting with us. And I'm also hoping that they learn that not everything has to do with money, that you don't always need money to create fun and to create memories. Sometimes all it takes is willingness and a little bit of creativity. So meaning that everything that you need, or everything that you need to start with, is always inside of you, from your creativity to your willingness to be able to be present. And from there, normally, and this is what I've seen in my life in general, is that when I am willing and focused and have a desire to do something, and I start with just a little bit of research, and I take that first step, normally things begin to kind of carve their way and work themselves out. It may not be that picture perfect thing that I had in my head, but it normally finds its way and navigates to something close to that picture, and it always works out because the end result is always seeing a smile on my children's faces. And for me, it's also a time where we get to connect not just with our children but with our extended family, with my moms and my brother, my siblings in fact. So it's really a time when we truly get to just de-stress. And for us, it's a time when we also incorporate a lot of Thanksgiving. And I feel like this year especially, because it's been truly a rough year, my sister and I, as we were planning this Christmas, from the menu to the theme to everything that we were, and the activities, one of the things that was very strong for us is the need to have a Thanksgiving type of service, a praise and worship type of service where we really truly thank God that with such a year as rough as this one, we all came out on the other side. We were all still intact. We all still have our health. We all still have each other. Some of my family members, have gone through some serious depression, and so many other, and retrenchments and so many things. But the fact that we're still here is what matters. And I feel like this is the time when we truly get a chance to come together as a family and thank God and praise God and enter into a space where you are uplifted, where you're joyful, where you're full of praise, where you're full of thanksgiving, so that you are ready for the following year and you're starting it off on a positive note. So I'm not asking you to, start celebrating, Christmas or anything of that sort. But for me personally, I've observed that a lot of people around the festive season, those who receive bonuses, they tend to focus on alcohol and food and clothes. And there's, look, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what makes you happy, then all well and good. However, I feel that sometimes, other than just buying children presents and clothes, that's normally it when it comes to children. I feel like as parents we could be more creative, we could be more engaged, we could be more deliberate in taking advantage of the season, because our children still have their imagination, and we want to really kind of connect and really tap into that, and let it be a time where you cement that connection with them that will take them long into their adulthood, where they look back and then as adults they probably see that you are not the most perfect parent, but you did your best and you were deliberate about it. And for me, when I think about it, I always go back to a memory of my parents. So my dad was a journalist that worked for a big South African media company, and it was during the time where black South Africans were not receiving equal pay to their white colleagues. And I remember my parents sitting us down and explaining that the black journalists were about to go on a major strike, which was supposed to be for like 2 years. And obviously in my household there was like only one salary, because my mom, it's either at some point she'd be studying or at some point she'd be like a stay-at-home mom, but she was not that working girl, and I remember how tough those those months were. But what I appreciated was when December came, in as much as there really wasn't any much money, my dad and his friends, so like 2 other couples, they came together and they decided that they were going to spend Christmas in our house. So we had like so it was a 4-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms and then just servants' quarters outside. So it was my parents in the main bedroom, and then the other bedroom, it was the other couple, and they came with 2 kids, and one of them was my age group, and then the other couple, I think they didn't have any kids, and then obviously all the kids were just squashed in one room. And for me, that was just the best thing. Imagine the whole of December, you are having a slumber party every single day with your friends, you know. So literally it was just the best time ever. And I remember when we'd have to go out, it would be like a convoy of cars. I remember one of my dad's friends, you know, every time I hear the song by Luther Vandross, I think it had just come out, like, when we walk down the street, we don't care who we see. And I remember he used to love that song so much that I remember he literally just parked the car in some parking lot in a mall or something, and he just started dancing. And so it was just those simple things that I remember the most about the Christmas. I remember one of my dad's friends, the wife, because there's no budget for us to be going to hair salons and doing our hair, child. She literally had like tongs and stuff, and she did our hair. So everybody was pitching in with whatever gift they had, whatever skill they had, so that they could create this type of Christmas that would be epic for all of us. And I remember when they had to leave afterwards, like, it was just tears and tears and tears. But it was the best Christmas ever, even though that was the worst year ever. And it's one of the things that as an adult that I do now, especially with my sister. We come together, you know, I'll be like, girl, you take care of the menu, I'll cook whatever you tell me to cook, but my department is always the decor, you know. So what theme we're coming with, what are we doing this year, how are we putting things together, what's the activities that we're coming up with for the children. And we always break all traditions, so it's not like we have like a typical Christmas. No, we break all tradition and we create our own memories and our own tradition as a family. And my moms absolutely love it. And so I'm hoping that in a year that has been as interesting as 2020, that you find the time with your family to just thank God for your life. May not be what you had wanted it to be, or maybe it may actually have been more, but whatever it is, I pray that you find the time, that you celebrate, and that you are deliberate in creating memories for you and your children and your parents and your siblings. But for me and my family, God bless you. Merry Christmas. I pray that you have a prosperous new year and that you are looking forward to it. I pray that you take this time to detox of every bad and negative experience that you had during the course of this year, so that you're able to focus on the new mercies and the beauty and all the new opportunities that are available for us in the following year. So for myself and my family and the Unlimited Soul team, God bless.